Show me.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of I Welcome You to Kung Fu, the show where I have a guest who is not neck deep in Kung Fu cinema as I am and have them pick one movie that sparks their curiosity. And I pick a movie that I think goes along really well with it. It sort of complements it. Today, our guest is chronically accumulating the Criterion Collection, frenetically finding films, successfully amassing an assortment of cinematic sensations. But the question I ask with any collector with a taste for great cinematic works brought together by the Criterion Collection: do you have Eastern Condors? Let's find out. Bryce, I welcome you to Kung Fu.
Wu-Tang martial expert. There's not many who can match up with him.
Hey, what's up, Tristan? How's it going?
I'm doing great. It's 11 o'clock on a Sunday. Got the whole rest of the weekend. By the weekend, I mean today is my Saturday. How you doing?
I am doing great. Really excited to talk about these films. As soon as you were like Kung Fu horror, I was like, count me in. I'm down.
Yes, it is, of course, October. Halloween is in, what, 5 days? 4 days?
5 days. Yeah.
So I figured, what better time to sit down and talk some Kung Fu horror. Well, I guess before we jump into some questions here, of course, we follow each other on TikTok. What do you have going on TikTok and other social platforms?
Currently, I'm just been covering a lot of international picture submissions. Really been my focus for the last couple months, but just jump around a lot, and mainly a lot of international films, though.
Right. I know for a good while you were posting a lot of your collection, a lot of vinyl, a lot of Criterion.
A lot of Laserdisc, yeah. I was
A lot of
collecting a lot of
Laserdisc too,
Laserdisc
yeah.
line, and I finished that up and been caught up. So it's just kind of I haven't really buying a lot of physical media, so finding a lot of other films to talk about.
What is your experience with Kung Fu and martial arts?
So I'm not as well versed as like you are. I've worked through a lot of letterbox lists, so I have ran across a fair amount of kung fu horror films in the 200 letterbox top 250 horror films list. Criterion has that Jackie Chan set and the
Right.
Bruce Lee set, and I've done like Criterion Channel had a really cool Sammy Hung collection for a minute.
Mm.
Really cool Jackie Chan, and I was just working through stuff as I was interested in. Normally, it's like I spend a month a year just watching some kung fu films, but it's
Mm.
not something I've really deep dived into.
Look, if everybody spent a month, just 1 month a year, just watching a kung fu movie, doing a good kung fu deep dive 1 month a year, then the world would be a better place. With your experience, what is the typical imagery that comes to mind with kung fu cinema? Like if someone just says kung fu movies, what's the first thing that you think of?
Like rural, like Cantonese rural films where it's just like they're in a
Right.
village and they have to fight the bad guys,
Mm.
and it's just kind of like the basic setup of simpleton dude just gets put way over his head and is really powerful in kung fu.
So you've got a decent chunk of kung fu movies you've seen and some kung fu horror. Since it is Halloween, we're talking some kung fu horror. What is your horror background? Because I'll tell you what, mine is not a lot because I don't freaking do it.
I love horror films, so I have a horror sleeve of like classic slashers.
Well, there you go.
That was like one of my big introductions. But as the years have gone on, I've gotten into more of like I don't want to say extreme horror because I think that gets a little bit into murky waters. But I've gone to more like practical effects, and I want to see more gore, and I want to see more of that. And it's just kind of evolved to where I don't really like gel with the newer horror films coming out. They
Mm-hmm.
all feel a little too basic. But it's just
Well,
something that I love horror films. I will watch as many as I can, but I really want to be shocked anymore by something.
yeah. Well, that tells me a lot about how you probably felt about these two movies because they're very practical, and particularly one of them is very gory. No, I don't do horror. I am, as I've said many times across many platforms, across TikTok and my YouTube, I am a bitch. I will fully admit that. I don't do horror. I don't like being scared. I don't like that adrenaline rush, that spike of emotion of being scared. Last year I watched or maybe it was earlier this year, but it's a last year movie. There's a Netflix zombie movie from the Philippines. I don't remember what it's called. The Upstairs or something. And I watched a majority of it on silent because I was like, I'm good. And I only watched it because we did the movie club for Film Talk community, and one of the guys gave me that, and I was like, you ass. And I watched it, and I watched a majority of it on silent.
Just like, this isn't it. This wasn't the move.
I mean, like, I can fully admit when something is a good movie. I have many horror films that I'm like, yeah, that's a great movie, and I will never watch it again. Hereditary. But then I do have some horror that I do actually like. Like what it is I like creativity. I like creative horror. So like I used to be a really big fan of like the VHS movies because I'm like, it's just creative. Like the one where you get the zombies and one of them's got a freaking GoPro on his head. I'm like, yeah, that's neat.
I've only seen the newest VHS.
I recommend the first two. And honestly, I've only seen the first two.
I need to see them. I have a friend that's really like trying to get me to do it. But like when I was at Fantastic Fest last month, they had VHS Halloween, and I was like, I'm just gonna go catch this. Like people are really liking it, and it was a cool experience. And I was like, I need to watch more of these anthology horror films. They're just crazy.
No, I like those because they're creative. And there's a handful of other like horror movies that aren't just like the what is it called with like I guess that style of movie. I'm totally blanking. What is it called again?
Anthology.
That's what I was looking for. I had an anth and I couldn't get past that. I like a handful of other non-anthology horror films, but as long as it's just like creative, then I'm in.
Yeah, it's like, especially, and this will be back to what we're talking about, like the Cantonese horror films, like Mr. Vampire. Like that is one of the most creative things I've ever seen. I just love that
Mr.
kind
Vampire
of style.
is excellent, and of course, you have the blend in there of the kung fu. I don't do slashers as you have the slasher tattoo there. As a child, I was absolutely petrified of Freddy Krueger. I don't do Freddy Krueger.
That's valid. I was traumatized by Chucky.
Chucky's
yeah, so I avoided doll stuff for like 15 years. I was like, I'm not, no.
I think Jason didn't get me too much. I think I could watch a handful whenever like the Friday the 13th movies would play on like the Sci-Fi Network around that time of year, or like any time there's a Friday the 13th coming up, Sci-Fi Channel plays all the Friday the 13th movies. I would watch a few of those. Those don't really get me too much.
More campy than anything else.
Yeah. Well, talking camp, let's go ahead and jump into our first movie, 1991's Riki-Oh, the Story of Riki.
Abbott, I want you to shave my head. If you refuse to help, I swear I'll burn this temple down!
Riki-Oh, the Story of Riki is directed by Nai Choi Lam and stars Fan Su Wong, Fan Mei Shang, Yukari Oshima, and many, many more. It is based on a manga of the same name. 1991's Riki-Oh, the Story of Riki is about a young man with tremendous strength and great kung fu skills, and he is locked up in a prison ran by a tyrannical warden who kills and dismembers his inmates at his own pleasure. It is up to Riki-Oh, Li Kwang, to use his powerful qigong to end all of it. Why did you pick Riki-Oh?
So this is one that it was on my watch list, and Letterboxd was like, it's a horror film, and I was like, okay, and that's why I was on your watch list. I was like, okay, we can both knock something out of the way. And I didn't know anything about it, but like people loved it. It's a cult classic, nothing but praise. One of Edgar Wright's favorite films. So I was like, yeah, we'll give it a shot. I was pleasantly surprised.
So this was on my watch list, and I'll tell you the only reason that I had never actually seen this movie is because I was fully aware of the fact I did not like it. Because I've seen almost all the fight scenes on YouTube, and I didn't like watching them just on YouTube by themselves. So I was like, have this massive collection of kung fu cinema behind me. There's been like 2 or 3 releases in the past few years of this movie from like 88 Films or maybe Arrow and some of those places. I haven't bought it a single time because I'm like, it's just going to sit on my shelf because I don't want to watch it. So thank you for knocking this off my watch list, yes, but also helping me sit through something that I just truly didn't want to watch.
Sometimes you gotta get that push.
You do. And, this is the first, we're only 4 episodes into this series, 4 episodes, 8 movies, and this is the 1 out of 8 movies that I just do not like.
I'm so sorry.
But that's okay. That's okay. I am happy I watched it. I'm a fan of many people involved. I'm a big fan of Fan Su Wong. He's great in Ip Man and a handful of other films. But just the massive amounts of everything in this movie are not my bag.
I will say I didn't. So like when it opens up, and like you get introduced to the characters, I was like, okay, prison movie, dystopia set. Like I'm into this. And then the first like fight scene you get in the bathroom, and I was like, this is not at all what I thought it was gonna be like. And
What were
was like,
what were your expectations going in?
I don't really know because I don't look at trailers and I don't do a lot of research. So I just kind of was like, oh, horror film, like it's got like people like it, it's getting good reviews, but I didn't really read any of it. So I was like, I don't know what's going on. And I did not expect it to be a splatter fest. Like,
Yeah.
So that first fight scene where it's just like the razor blade, and I was like, oh shit, what are we getting into?
Well, even like what is the first fight? First fight's in the bathroom, right? In the shower.
Yeah, where like the big guy comes in with the guy who built a train.
Yeah.
And then he breaks in and he like cuts the dude's face, and I was like, this is
there's
just
that part.
off the wall.
That's right. I was
Like,
thinking of the hook through the guy's gut, and then just like a waterfall of blood pours out of his gut.
very Kill Bill-esque.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, I don't think I see this movie as a horror movie. I don't think it's got the scares.
I didn't either.
Yeah,
sat
it's
there and I
just
was
really violent.
It's just like a splatterfest. I was like, there's no horror elements in this movie, but Letterboxd categorizes it as a horror film.
Yeah.
Which makes no sense to me. Like, as I was watching it, I was like, man, this was kind of a bad pick for this, wasn't it?
I think what it is it might be able to be categorized as a horror movie just because it will make you uncomfortable if you're not into that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's like the gore is what really highlights
But it's not
it.
even gore because I can do gore. Like, I don't know if you've seen the films of the Indonesian films of Timo Chianto, like with The Night Comes for Us and Headshot and The Shadow Strays. He does violence. He does gore. He's a director with a horror background who now does action movies, and he brings his horror skills to action. So he makes action scenes very violent and very gory. And I love them. They're fantastic. They're great. They're not this.
It's a little over the top with this one.
Yeah.
Like a little too much where it's like, this just isn't realistic and it's just goofy. I still had a fun time with it because I just kind of let it roll. And I was just like, okay, just gonna turn it off and just let it happen.
I think if you have a group of friends who are the horror types, they would love this. Like if you just have a bunch of horror friends and you said, hey, let's all get together, pop a few beers open, and watch this goofy kung fu violent movie, then you're all going to have a fantastic time.
I will say I really liked. I don't want to say I liked the assistant warden when you go to his office, because in the movie, the guy gets dragged into the office because he gets in a fight, and I was in this assistant warden's office and I looked at the background and they have all the tapes and I was like, this is just so bonkers and off the wall that it just doesn't add up to anything that's realistic.
Yeah.
And then you get like the fight scenes get more over the top as it goes on.
Well, and he's a bigger dude and his whole desk is just covered in food.
The first introduction is just him getting a feast.
Right. And I didn't recognize him at all, but the warden, and I guess I just didn't even recognize his name really. He is Fan Mei Shang, and he is the master in. He's Sammo Hung's master in the great film Magnificent Butcher. He's in a bunch of other movies. He is a good legend of kung fu cinema. I didn't recognize him without his beard and looking a little bit older, but he is the lead actor of this movie's father.
Oh, that's cool.
I didn't recognize him at all. I also didn't learn until like earlier this year that they were even related.
That's just something you would. They don't even look alike. That's
No.
crazy.
Yeah. And when I learned that they were related, I was like, Fan Su Wong's a Nepo baby? No. But it makes sense. He grew up around, kung fu sets. Of course, he would get into making kung fu movies. But yes, the introduction of his character, it is just something that's very, very, very camp.
Oh, extremely. I was just like, okay. Like, part of me was like, he's not even in charge. He's not part of this prison system. He's just a random, like, prisoner who's here because the warden's not like around.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh no, he's like an actual part of the like system up here, and he's just insane.
Are there any expectations you had that were met with this movie?
The practical effects, I think, like
Yeah, I was wondering
one,
about that.
like that was the one where it was like, I read that the practical effects were insane for this movie. And so when they started happening, I was like, okay, it's campy, it's unrealistic. There's a scene, and I guess it's spoilers, but like there's a scene where the dude seppukus and pulls out his intestines to
Mm-hmm.
like attack somebody, and I was like, this is just like the effects are crazy and it's so much fun.
Yeah.
But nothing plot wise adds up to the effects being the way they
Mm-hmm.
are. So it's kind of like you gotta turn your brain off. You gotta understand this is all
Oh
just
yeah,
like
no.
this is a manga adaptation. It's gonna be a little off the walls.
And it's
But
it's
the
like just the concept of what they're doing. Like there's that guy who cuts himself open and strangles Fan Su Wong with his intestines. But just before that, he cuts Fan Su Wong on the arm and he's bleeding. And this is truly a thing that I had to like look away from because just the idea of it is not from my brain. I don't like even just the idea of what he's doing. But and it's obviously it's unrealistic, but still, it just the look and the idea of it I don't like. He takes the veins that are cut and he starts tying them with his teeth and he's tying his veins shut. And I'm like, no,
and
I
then
don't.
he like fixes his ligament and he's just like, I'm ready to
Yeah,
go.
I just don't like that at all.
That scene is very reminiscent of like 127 hours, where it's just
Mm-hmm.
like that's very uncomfortable to like watch because you're like, I can't do it. Like
Yeah.
there's no way. Like
Well, and the way he beats that guy is it's very Street Fighter. By that I mean the Street Fighter with Sonny Chiba. Have you seen that movie?
I have not, no.
There's a great I don't martial arts fans will not like me saying I don't think it's a great movie. I don't think it's worth watching. But there is one fight scene in the middle of it where he like slams down on the top of a guy's head and we get an X-ray shot of
Oh,
his
I
head
love
when he
that.
does it. But instead, they clearly replace it with like a rubber skull because you see it like impact in, and so and it's a cool shot. And then like after you see it impact in, you just see it cut to him and like he spits out a bunch of blood. And that's we get that X-ray shot the way he beats this guy. He has him upside down in the air and he just like punches and we get the X-ray of the skull just impact.
That might be one of my favorite scenes because I was like, Mortal Kombat, here we go.
Yeah, and that's what I even said. Like the Street Fighter with Sonny Chiba is like, oh, this is original Mortal Kombat. They did the X-ray shot,
I love
and that's
that
from like the
phrase.
'70s.
I will
I have some. So go ahead.
I will say I was a little disappointed with it not going really heavy into its dystopian roots.
No, yeah,
The-
no. This movie has like no. It tells you. And so this movie came out in '91. It tells you it's like a fictional 2001, but there's like no other sign because we're in the prison. Other than some flashbacks, we're in the prison the entire time.
and even the flashbacks, it's just like a field.
Yeah,
Like, but I
it's
was
a
just like,
field. It's a road.
it didn't need the dystopian stuff. It really could have cut that whole plot line in my mind out, and it wouldn't have changed anything that
Yeah.
happened in the movie.
But I've also not, and I'm sure you haven't read the manga, so I'm sure like maybe the manga delves into that stuff a whole lot more, but it's not in this movie at all.
I did think about it for this. I was like, maybe I should read it, and I was like, no, I don't have time. I
No.
really wish I did, but I was just like, I don't have time. I got to just watch the movies and take notes. Just hope for the best.
Yeah, I had written down a few thoughts throughout it. The one of the first things I wrote down was his Fan Su Wong's character, I guess Li Kwang. He asks his uncle to teach him to use qigong, which is what makes him so strong and can break through rubble and tear through people's bodies with just a single punch. He asks his uncle to teach him, and he's instantly good at it. We don't see any like progression of him like struggling or like breaking his hand trying to do something. No, we see him like focus one time and then he's got it. He's Superman.
He's just built different.
He's just built different.
I will say I totally expected his uncle to be the warden. Like I don't know why in my head I was like with the flashbacks of the uncle teaching him, I was like, oh, we're gonna get an epic like fight between him and his uncle at the end of this movie, and like I was very pleased it wasn't that way because I would have been kind of disappointed. But it's the way they were building it up where it's like you don't really need to show him training to do this.
Yeah,
like, I'm not mad about it, but there's like this needs like, is this gonna lead anywhere? It's like no, the uncle taught him how to do it.
There's a great movie with sort of with that idea of thinking he's gonna have to like fight his uncle. There's a great movie from like 2015. I say great. It's like it's weird. It's like very low budget. You can tell looking at it that's very low budget. But there's a 2015, 2016 movie called, maybe it's 2013, called Bushido Man.
I've never heard of that one.
It's this dude who his master tells him to travel around and find these masters of other styles and fight them and learn their styles and beat them. And so he comes across a guy doing mantis. He comes across a guy with like nunchucks. He comes across all these different things. And in the end, he comes back to his master and says, I've done it. I've beat them all. And then his master's like, good, now you got to fight me.
I do like that. Yeah.
It's a fun watch. I recommend it, especially if you like some campy practical effects. There's one, if you watch it, there's one I won't even tell you about because it's so absolutely bizarre. Like just honestly, it's very Riki-Oh. There's something they do in that movie that's very Riki-Oh, and you'll probably love it.
Did you watched the original language version of this movie, right?
I watched like the extended Hong Kong cut. Yeah. Oh, wait, no, I didn't. Sorry, I watched that for the next movie. I watched what was on Criterion Channel, but yes.
Okay, so that's how I was trying to figure out how to watch it. As soon as I saw it on Criterion Channel, I was like, I'm so stupid for trying to do all this other stuff trying to find it. But like, part of me wishes I had seen the English dub.
English dubs are fun.
It's so iconic for like creating this as a cult film for the West.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I know I wouldn't have wanted to see it in the English dub, but the whole repertoire that dub has makes me want to rewatch it just to be like, how bad could this dub actually be?
No, and like English dubs get a bad rap, especially for like anime, of course. But English dubs get a bad rap of like, we used to make fun of them in like the early 2000s, of like the mouths are moving, but like the words were like not catching up and stuff, or like they would stop talking, but the English words were still going. That was like the big joke in the early 2000s that a lot of movies would do whenever they're trying to like make a fake kung fu scene. But like so many old school classic dubs are in some cases they make movies a little bit better. Like I've said it before about Prodigal Son, but the first time I watched The Prodigal Son was with the English dub, and it was fantastic. And I've seen a handful of dozens of English dubs. Some of them are great, some of them are bad, some of them are truly bad. There's a really bad one for Fearless Hyena with Jackie Chan. It's awful. But
I think I saw that.
Legendary.
I think they had the dub on the Criterion Channel for Fearless Hyena when I watched it, and I was like, I can't do it.
Yeah, there's a great documentary called Iron Fist and Kung Fu Kicks, and they talked to the guy who dubbed that movie, and he even said, he's like, oh, I half-assed that. He was like, I was just trying to go home. And because at one point he says, like, you can clearly see Jackie Chan, like, saying words, and the guy just was like, and it's like, yeah, I wanted to go home. I didn't care.
He's like, it's just a dubbing. It's fine.
Yeah. And you know what? For that scene it works, whatever. But no, it doesn't. But that's a fantastic movie. But yeah, check out that documentary. It's fantastic. I was confused by Lee Kwang, Fan Su Wong playing a leaf like it was the Ocarina of Time.
I was like, there's no shot. Like, I will say it created a really good scene with that one kid. I say kid, like he's
who then dies 2 minutes later.
Yeah, like that scene was really cool because it's like him trying to be like, hey, like I'm sorry, like it shouldn't have hurt you that way. But it's also like that's so he like. As soon as you like roll your tongue back to blow in this leaf, and then they showed the guy's tongue was cut out, and I was like, "Oh, poor choice of words."
Yeah. Well, and like you'll maybe get like a whistle out of it if you hit the right angle, but you're not. The way he was like changing notes and everything, I was like, you're playing the Ocarina of Time. Yukari Oshima is in this. She is a fantastic figure in Kung Fu cinema. She's got some fantastic movies. She's fought so many people from Sammo Hung, Richard Norton, Yasuaki Kurata, all those kind of things. I guess she plays a dude in this because she has short hair and she was clearly dubbed over by a guy.
I didn't even realize like she was in the prison.
She's one of like the assassins hired by the warden.
Oh, that's Hell?
I think so. She's the one who like he like punches her leg and like blows half her leg off.
Holy shit! Yeah, I didn't even catch that. That's crazy.
That was a woman being dubbed over by a guy, and the whole time I was like, "What is happening? Is her character supposed to be a dude? I don't know." So if you know in the comments, let me know. I don't know.
That's something, yeah, because I didn't even I thought there was just the girl that was the girlfriend, and so now I'm like I need to go through and just look at photos, just be like, how did I not catch this?
Nope, that character was played by a woman, and I was very confused because I was like, "Oh, it's Yukari Oshima," and then she started talking, and I was like, "That's not her voice. That is a deep man's voice." She also kicked a dog in half.
Oh my god, it's not. Yeah, it is the West Block warden. That's crazy.
Yeah, it was a woman.
That's holy shit. Yeah, that tricked me. I didn't know.
What was going through your mind when she kicked a dog in half?
It was just at this point in the movie, I was so like just like whatever happens that nothing really was shocking me other than like the brutalist like gore stuff. But it was just like oh shit. And I was like okay yeah, it adds up. It all adds up at this.
I was like, oh, a dog bar, and then she just jumped up out of the ground and kicked it in half, and there was like guts flying everywhere, and I was like, great, okay, well, this movie is not gonna hold up on doesthedogdie.com. At one
that
point,
website exists.
it does. At one point, he's helped out, but also still has to fight a guy named Tarzan, one of like the warden assassins or something. I guess he like protects him.
One of my favorite scenes in the movie.
He like saves him from the other people, but I guess because he wants to fight him himself.
He like busts through like the Kool-Aid Man.
Yeah, he does. He Kool-Aid Man's it at one, but he Kool-Aid Man's like twice. But at one point, Fan Su Wong punches his jaw off. But then like 5 minutes later, he's like talking full sentences. I was like, you don't have a jaw, sir.
He's holding up the roof. And he's just like, what about me? And I was like, how are you here?
You're dead. Your arm was shattered into 5 pieces, and you don't have half your face.
And then, like, Ricky still tries to help him. And I was like, that's just wild that he's like, I know I just, like, brutally mutilated you, but, like, come on, you can make it.
Yeah. I mean, there's a handful of moments that one thing that I guess this movie does actually do really well, aside from the violence that it's going for, is there's a handful of moments where it does a really good job of showing our hero's humanity.
He never feels like he wants to be doing what he's doing.
Right.
It's always just like, this is the right thing to do. And then he's like,
or my back's against the wall.
Yeah, and he feels bad about having to do this to people. But also, like, he's there for a mission.
Yeah. Like, there's even not even just in the flashbacks, but even in the prison, because obviously he is doing absolutely brutal acts. So if we just had this character who was extremely like just morally corrupt, and then we're supposed to root for him as he is just punching people's jaws off, then like, yeah, it's gonna be pretty hard to root for him. But the movie does do a good job of countering his acts of extreme violence with, but he's just he's a person trying to do his best, and he wants everyone to be okay. Not the people he's fighting, but his friends and everybody.
I love that part of like showcasing his humanity and like trying to get us to sympathize with him was just watching him fly like RC things.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, like this is the weirdest way to get me to sympathize, but like I'm not mad about it.
Was his girlfriend like running away from bullies and she like jumped off like a balcony or something?
I think she found a heroin ring.
Okay.
It was like getting it's basically she jumped off, but
she's like running away from people and she like jumps off a balcony and it cuts to like a dummy falling down.
And you're just like, okay.
Yeah, just like, yeah. I mean, honestly, that's something I'm very used to. I mean, Bruce Lee fighting a room full of guys at one point spins around holding two dummies. It's fine. I'm used to it. I don't care. Have you come across what kinds of movies or stuff have you come across with like this type of extreme violence and practical effects?
That's a really good question because my first and immediate thought was Terrifier.
Okay. It's just like I've never seen a single one of them. Obviously, I don't want to.
It's all practical effects, which this one, all the splatter effects were all practical effects. So it's kind of similar in that vibe where it's just like amazement at what they're able to do, especially at the time of this movie. I mean, 1991, and there's everything's practical. It looks incredible, and then you kind of compare it to like Terrifier, and it's all very similar-esque. Where it's just like you're watching it like this is insane. Like I don't know how you guys are able to craft this with practical effects, but I feel like this is very unique in my mind about what its content is with the effects.
Does a movie like that, like Terrifier, like the Terrifier movies? I've never seen one. I don't want to.
I blame you.
Does a movie like one of those, while doing essentially the same thing in essence as Riki-Oh, does it make it look more realistic since it is a modern movie?
I would say so. That's part of why I like the Terrifier films, is because you don't know what you're gonna get, and it all does look very visceral. So it's kind of, I don't know, it does create it more. You don't watch the Terrifier movies for the plot. You don't go in there for that. You go there for the effects.
Have you seen Studio 666?
I own it. I haven't seen it yet.
So can I spoil a kill for you?
Oh yeah, no, that's fine. Yeah, I don't mind.
So I as someone who's not a horror person, I saw that in theaters and I have it on Blu-ray only because I am like a massive Foo Fighters fan. I have every album. Like I love the Foo Fighters, so I saw that movie, of course. I have like a couple of their documentaries. I have like their concert films. I love the Foo Fighters. So one of the kills in that, I guess, is very similar to something they would maybe do in Terrifier and similar to stuff they did in this. And it's two characters are having sex on a bed, and Whitney Cummings, the comedian, is the actress laying on the bed, and the killer is under the bed, and you just hear a chainsaw start, and it comes from underneath the mattress, and it like starts at her head and goes down her body, and they clearly like they're cutting through a puppet, but it is a pretty good looking puppet.
It seems very similar to like Friday the 13th, where they like under the bed with the like
Kevin Bacon.
Yeah. No, that sounds cool. I definitely need to see that because I bought it when it came out in physical with the intention of like I need to watch this movie, and I just have never got around to it.
I mean, I won't say it's a great movie. You know, again, I bought it just as a fan of the Foo Fighters, but it exists. It's solid.
It just needs to be fun. Like at the end of the day, it just needs.
No, I'm sure like a horror fan is like this is gonna have a blast with this. I just kind of was around for it. Do you have any final thoughts on Riki-Oh?
It's not a horror movie. I feel like it's been very mislabeled, but it is a really fun, campy,
it's extremely violent, and if you love horror, you will have a good time.
I think it moves really fast. Like it's a very fast moving film. So it's just a good like 90-minute splatterfest experience. Do wish it was more on the horror side because I'm like if you put it in your genre that's horror, then I expect it to be some kind of horror. But I guess I do see where it, like we said, where it leads into it. But
if you are somehow watching this video because you just were drawn to a horror themed video because you were a horror fan, but you don't know much about kung fu movies, do watch this movie. It's not a horror movie. It's not scary at all. There's no jump scares. There's no frights. There's no anything like that. It's just extremely, extremely campy violent. But if you're a horror fan, I think you will like it.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I had fun with it. I know you didn't like it, but I had fun with it. So.
Didn't. And I knew I wouldn't. Again, I watched the fight scenes on YouTube, and just watching them on YouTube, I was like, I don't care for this at all. So I knew going in I wasn't gonna like it, but you know what? I'm actually happy that I did finally knock it off my list.
Well, I know you picked the next one, and I have seen this other one before, and I think this one is so much fun.
It is fun. Let's jump into it. Let's go ahead and get into the 1986 film, The Seventh Curse. Directed by the same director as Riki-Oh. I did not do that on purpose.
I thought you did. I was like sitting here, I was looking, I was like, oh my God, they're the same director? Like, that's crazy. What a great pair.
No, honestly, I did not do that on purpose. So directed by Nai Choi Lam, starring I love this cast so much. Chin Soo Ho, Dick Wei, Chow Yun Fat, Maggie Chung, Sybil Hu, as well as just a splattering of who's who in kung fu cinema all throughout this movie. Any background actor, any actor who gets 2 or 3 lines at some point is an absolute legend of kung fu cinema. So just a stacked cast in the main cast and a stacked cast in the background for no reason whatsoever. So based on the Dr. Yun series of novels by Ni Kwang, the Seventh Curse follows Dr. Yun. He's like Indiana Jones if he knew kung fu. After his journey into Thailand sees him rescuing a village princess from being sacrificed to an ancestral deity, a curse is placed upon Dr. Yun. The princess helps to delay the curse, but once it starts to take effect after quite a while, Dr. Yun must return to Thailand, defeat the evil cultists, and release himself from the curse placed upon him. So you've seen this one before. How do you feel? What do you think of the Seventh Curse?
So I originally watched this one. I think it was like 2 years ago. I was working through Letterboxd Top 250 Horror Movies list, and I watched this because I think it was on Arrow Video streaming at the time. And so I watched it. I thought it was a great, fun film. So when you were like, we're going to do it again, I was like, let's go. Rewatched it again. Still a blast. I think it's a extremely campy film, but in all the best ways.
Yeah, no, it pulls a lot of it off really, really well. Even the times you can see wires, and obviously they're not going to have an actual skeleton walking around. It's 1986 in Hong Kong. They don't have the special effects capabilities to make a good-looking skeleton, but they do the best with what they have, and it works really, really well.
I will say, okay, so the plot here, it moves at such a breakneck pace.
It does.
It almost feels like every 10 minutes you're watching a totally different film.
Yeah, I mean, it opens with like some rich dude asking Chow Yun Fat and Chin Soo Ho to like regale him with the stories of their adventures, which I think, I could be wrong, I haven't looked at it. I'm pretty sure that the old guy that they're telling the stories to at the beginning and we see again at the end, I think he's the author of the books.
Okay, that's cool. I like that. Because it does feel very weird with the intro, with them, like this dinner party, and then it just kind of goes on for about 20 minutes until it actually gets to the curse.
Yeah, because when we see, like, he's called in at a hostage situation to play a doctor and go in and actually like stop the bad guys from inside the building. And so like but that has almost nothing to do with anything else that happens in this movie. It's just to set up like how cool he is, and also like introduce us to the reporter girl, played by Maggie Chung,
who is incredible. I love seeing her
great.
pop up in films. She's one of my favorite actresses. That whole intro is just there to build her up and introduce them together. And it's not like a long intro. It doesn't overstay its welcome. But it is really funny to me how she just pops up and like has no idea what she's doing and blows the whole operation.
She fully like attempted murders a police officer in the officer who is going to put on a nurse disguise is Kara Hui, who she's in dozens of fantastic movies. She's a lead actress in her own right. She's led dozens of movies herself. But she plays the officer who goes to put on a nurse disguise, and before she can put the disguise on, she gets clocked in the back of the head with a brick because Maggie Chung wants to put on the disguise and go in for her.
I don't know, I like the introduction of them, and I like seeing her just consistently pop up at Dr. Yoon.
How familiar are you with Chin Soo Ho? He plays our lead Dr. Yun in this one.
So not super familiar. I think I've only seen him in Mr. Vampire outside of this.
He is Mr. Vampire, yes.
So that's like my only thing with him. I do like him in both of these movies. So he's an actor that I'm definitely like, if he's in other stuff I like on my watch list, I will get to it. I know he's in Rigor Mortis.
Yep.
And that's
much older than that.
Much older, but he's in Rigor Mortis. I want to watch that, but he's not somebody I've really done a deep dive into. But
he is the villain and almost kind of co-lead in Tai Chi Master with Jet Li, and then he is a supporting character. Honestly, kind of one of the main characters in the other Jet Li film, Fist of Legend, which is like the remake of Fist of Fury.
Fist of Legends in my watch list, so I definitely need to get that. Yeah.
Check that. Him and Jet Li have amazing fights in both of those movies. I rewatched Tai Chi Master for like 2 episodes ago for this show. Fantastic movie. He does some fantastic stuff in that, but like his courtyard fight scene with Jet Li and Fist of Legend is phenomenal.
I have more experience with Chow Yun Fat than
Right. Yeah, because all the John Woo movies and stuff.
John Woo, The Killer, Hard Boiled. He's in Pirates of the Caribbean, so
of course. The Replacement Killers, many films. What's your favorite Chow Yun Fat movie? I'm distracted by my cat sitting right here.
I've only seen him in 4 things, so it's probably this one. Honestly, I'm not a huge fan of the John Woo movies. Like, okay, so like in my defense, they were like really early on in my Criterion journey. They were probably like 2 of the first like Cantonese films or Hong Kong films I had ever seen. And so The Killer and Hard Boiled, because they're like in the first 10
the 2 main ones.
Yeah, and I just like at the time I was like, I don't really vibe with this. Like these are the first examples of this type of cinema that I had even like experienced. And I think I definitely need to rewatch them. I'm planning to rewatch them, but it's just one of those things where it's like at the time I was not as like experimented. I haven't experimented with cinema as much, so I was just like, this isn't for me. But now I think if I go back, I would have a lot more fun with them.
Those are 2 of his easiest films to watch. I have not seen a lot of like his more hardcore stuff, but I watched Bullet in the Head last year, and that is just one. That's John Woo and I think Chow Yun Fat is in that. I could be wrong, and then there's a bunch of other people in that movie. It is just very, very depressing. It's action-packed, kinda. It's a lot of gunplay, a lot of explosions, but all the people in the gunplay and the explosions don't want to be there. And it's just kind of a really big bummer.
I definitely need to watch some more John Woo. I think I've only seen like 4 of his films.
Go further old school. Go
5. I've seen
Last
5.
Hurrah for Chivalry.
Oh, I've seen that. I like that one.
That's John Woo.
Yeah, that one's good. I like that.
You wouldn't guess if you've seen that and then seen Hard Boiled that it's John Woo, but it's John Woo.
I think he also did Mission Impossible 2, which I think is the worst Mission Impossible movie. But
but you know what? He also did the best Jean-Claude Van Damme movie, which is started blanking out now. Hard Target. Hard Target is the best Jean-Claude Van Damme movie, and I don't care what anyone else has to say. But you know what? The reason it's the best Jean-Claude Van Damme movie is because it's a very good John Woo movie. Jean-Claude Van Damme just happens to be in it. But he also did Face Off. Didn't he Face Off?
Yes.
I think he did Face Off.
Or he might have. I haven't seen Face Off, so I can't attest to that.
I'm very confident he did Face Off, and people love that movie. My favorite thing about The Seventh Curse is that it is Indiana Jones, Evil Dead, and Alien all wrapped into one, plus, of course, it's a Kung Fu movie.
I love that you say that because I thought the same thing about the movie. I was like, there's a lot of Evil Dead and Alien, and it all clicks. Indiana Jones is such a good, like, comparison because you do get that temple.
That's what I thought
diving
the first
and
time
you
I
get-
watched it.
Well, it's like so there's a scene in this movie where they have to go to this statue to get the eyes of the statue, and I was sitting there watching it, and I was like, this is just Indiana Jones.
100%.
Indiana Jones with like, I don't know if you've played Skyrim.
A little bit.
But like the Thieves Guild has a quest line where they're trying to get the eyes out of this giant statue, and I was like, so Skyrim, Indiana Jones, all together.
Yeah, the first time I watched it, I really picked up all the Indiana Jones stuff. Of course, just him being like this like adventurer, but like even after they get the eyes out of the statue, the head then falls, and they're being chased by, and like they're running from the head like a boulder. I'm like, oh yeah, this is just 100%. It's Indiana Jones. But I loved it about that. I didn't like critique that for it. I was like, oh, this is Indiana Jones, but it's Kung Fu horror Indiana Jones. And then of course like the monster at the end, it's like, okay, that just looks like a xenomorph.
I am so like that makes me so happy because I legit watched it and I was like, oh my god, it's a xenomorph. Like I didn't pick up on it the first time I watched it, just didn't. So when I watched it this time, I was like, that's an alien. Like that's
Yeah.
exactly what this is. Like,
And then this just you kind of get some Evil Dead in there with the skeleton action. The skeleton doing kung fu, I did enjoy. As campy as it looks, as much as you see the wires at times,
it's one of my
it's
favorite
fun
things.
to watch.
It's
Great.
like Tales of the Crypt coming to like attack people. It's so much fun. I love because it is spoilers, but like the ending where the coffin attacks the worm leader
Hmm.
and like the skeleton comes out, and I was like, this is just insanity.
Yeah.
Like,
I used to think this was like one of the craziest movies I've ever seen, and at the time it was, but there's a whole lot crazy. You can get a whole lot more nuts than this, but at the time I was like, mine was blown by this movie. It is still just like a super, super fun, super brisk movie. Um, are you familiar with Cat 3 films?
I'm not. No, I've heard of them, but I haven't seen them.
Yeah, so Cat 3 or Category 3, it's like Hong Kong movies that are a bit more, well, a lot more violent, usually have a lot more nudity in them. This movie is like, this is honestly one of the few Cat 3 films I've seen. I've probably only seen like 2 or 3. But this is like a very Cat 3 light. It's like a good introduction for like a Category 3 movie because it's a little bit of nudity. There's honestly not a lot. And as violent as the movie gets, it doesn't like get tremendously violent. Like at one point we see someone's like head get ripped off, but like it wasn't even that bad to watch, honestly.
No, no, no. I will say, I totally just spaced my mind to what I was like gonna reference. Damn, that sucks.
When
Well, it'll
so
come
in
back.
terms of the kung fu, Chin Soo Ho is great with the kung fu. There's not a lot of movies that give Dick Wei like major roles. He's the dude who breaks into his apartment and fights him a little bit, and then is like, "Stay away from women. The curse is happening, and you're gonna start feeling it soon." And then he's the, he's the like the second lead in the movie the whole rest of the movie.
Yeah,
Not a lot of movies give Dick Wei like he's usually just like either a main villain or just like a henchman or like he's always like one of like the final fights in a movie. So the first time I watched this, I was just happy that it gave like Dick Wade that much screen time.
I really liked his character because it's who did he play? I know it's like Wise. No, is it Wise? No, Dick Way. Dick Way. Who did Dick Way play? His name is like slipping
I don't remember his
because
name.
I keep thinking about Chow Yun Fat, and I'm like, that's not it. Oh, Hack Lung.
You see it?
Hack Lung. And I liked his character and his relationship with the princess.
Yeah, you could tell. I think was like Chin Soo Ho like looking like jealous that like they were like so close.
He's like, this could be me, and I'm like, no, you have Maggie Chung. You're fine. You don't need it.
Yeah. When you got Maggie Chung, everything's all right.
I do. I remember what I was gonna say. I love that the kung fu kind of starts taking a back seat once things start getting a little bit more crazy, and they just resort to straight gunplay. Like,
Well, yeah, and like they have to scale the statue to get the eyes out because the eyes have the cure for his curse and the princess's curse. And all of a sudden, all these monks pop up, and Dick Wei doesn't use guns, so he's fighting off the monks. But classic Indiana Jones, I guess. Dr. Yun, first thing he does is like, nope, gun, 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 gun. He just starts shooting monks.
well, it's even like when they're going through the temple and they're like, he has like Dr. Yoon has the shotgun and he's just shooting people in there, and I'm like, that's not kung fu. You're cheating.
But he can throw down. He has some good fights.
Oh, there's some just solid fight scenes. I love the fights here. I just thought it was hilarious when they were just like, and we're just using guns because he's like, there's too many people. I'm not doing it. Like, this is just quicker.
You enjoying some practical violence. How did you feel about the practical violence in this one?
Oh, it's so fun. It's so over the top, especially with the skeleton. Like, you're flying around the room, like going to the roof and stuff. I was like, this is just insanity. It's so much fun. The final fight between the little creature and the xenomorph looking
The
creature
ghost
is
babies.
it's so much fun. It's
So
like
that good point bringing them up. I don't know how I didn't write those down. But the first time you watch this, what's the first thing that goes through your head when you see the ghost babies?
I checked out a little bit the first time I watched it. I was like, makes no sense. This isn't like it's so dumb because they capture it like
Yeah.
which I was like, they're just gonna capture this thing and then be like, okay, now we're gonna take you to go fight this dude.
Well, like, what were you thinking the first time that like the villain opens his cape and the freaking ghost baby pops out and it pulls again? It's alien. It bites the guy's neck, and apparently like goes through his neck, down through his abdomen, and pops out his abdomen. But like also, it's just the craziest looking little puppet you've ever freaking seen.
It
So
kind
like,
of
the first time
reminded me.
I saw it, I think I just was like mouth agape and was just like, what is again like when I first watched this movie, thinking this is one of the most insane things I've ever seen. When I first saw the ghost babies and I see it pop out the dude's like sternum, all I could think is like, what am I freaking watching?
It reminds me a lot of, I don't know if you've seen it, but like the Boxer's Omen,
I have seen the boxers
where
open.
it's just like one insane thing after another, and you're just kind of like, what is happening?
Yeah, it's the weirdest little puppet, and the fact that they use it against the deity monster god
Oh, and it throws
is
down.
even weirder.
It
Yeah,
like it throws
how
down.
how or why they like manage to gain some sort of control of this thing, because I think we just see that. I don't even know if we fully see like how they, I don't remember how they captured it, but like
It's like they just
they
kidnapped it. Like
yeah, and they come into the cave where the monster is free and it's out and it looks like a xenomorph with wings, with cheaper special effects, and Sybil Who just goes, release the ghost baby, and it just attacks the monster like on command. It's like, how did you guys even get command of this thing?
it kind of like it feels like the film tells you like, hey, like they like get back to the village and everything's just destroyed and everyone's fighting, and it's almost like, okay, we missed like a big part of something that happened
We
here.
clearly missed something happening.
And then it's just like, ghost baby. It's like, okay, all right.
What did you think of? So I brought up like the dude's head getting ripped off. The skeleton grabs like a guy and just like rips his head down forward towards his chest, and you just see like his spinal cord, and it just starts like nomming on his spinal cord.
Oh, I loved it. I loved it. The effect is crazy, especially because like this is the '80s. Like this is all practical stuff, and just it's like, who thought of this? Who who was making this movie and was just like, yeah, this is gonna be a great scene. They're like, okay, man, like it works. It's so much fun. It's
Well, apparently it was Nai Choi Lam. Apparently he really likes doing this weird practical stuff.
I love it because especially now that I know he did Ricky, I'm just like, the dude knows how to do these effects, and I need to watch more of his films because these are the only two films I've seen by him now.
Yeah, same thing.
And so it's like I need to do like a deep dive and just like see how he's evolved and just see how his effects have gotten crazier because I assume they just get more insane as he gets older.
So you've seen the stuff that's on the Criterion Collection. You've seen Mr. Vampire. Have you seen all the Mr. Vampire movies?
I've seen two of them,
Just the first two?
just the first two.
Gotcha.
I really
do-
I love the Mr. Vampire series. I
I
need to watch
love
the
them
other
very much.
ones.
I have a video on my YouTube channel ranking all of them. I think one of the very best scenes in the Mr. Vampire films is in the fourth one. I don't think the fourth one's a good movie. I don't. But there's a scene where like the vampires actually start like attacking the house in the fourth movie, and it's a 100% a perfect scene. Have you seen Encounters of the Spooky Kind?
I have. I love that movie.
Okay, I was
I
just
think Sammo Hung's in that, right? That's Sammo Hung.
yeah. That's he directed that one as well.
He's so funny. I love him in every movie I've seen him in. He has never disappointed me. I also Chinese Ghost Story. I watched that for the first time this month. That is so much fun.
Did I have any extra takeaways on this one? Do you have any, I guess, final thoughts on the Seventh Curse? It's not the most complicated movie in the world. It's just a weird movie.
I think the Seventh Curse, especially because like I go back to a big on Letterboxd top 250 horror films,
Yeah.
and just the idea that this movie is so iconic that it's out of every horror movie, it's in the top 250, and I think it 100% deserves that spot. I know, you know who Mitch Reviews is, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so he doesn't like this movie.
No.
He
What was
ga-
his complaint about it?
He gave it 2.5 stars, and you know he doesn't really do like in-depth reviews about why he doesn't like stuff. But he's like the one person I follow who's given it a low rating, and I don't get it because I don't see how people can not like this movie. Shout out to Mitch, I love Mitch, but it's just crazy to me that it's so iconic. It's just
Yeah.
such a fun, wild ride, and I don't see how anybody could really dislike it. It's 90 minutes of just pure campiness and so much.
I'd have to go back and see what my original score was in this movie. I don't remember. I feel like I may have liked it more on the second watch, just because that first watch, I'm like, it's like it was a whole new experience. I didn't know what I was getting into, so I was just sort of, it was a lot of me just being surprised. Whereas going in the second time, I can like fully appreciate all of it and just acknowledge how absolutely fun the movie is.
Just a blast from beginning to end. Just
Yeah.
I know you said it's a brisk watch, and it is. It is just it's over in an instant, and it's just so much fun just to experience this journey.
No, and you know what? I was just thinking one thing that makes it such a brisk watch. Have you ever seen that video of Trey Parker and Matt Stone from South Park giving like a course on on storytelling?
No, it sounds like a great video though.
They're like in front of like a bunch of college students or something, and they're just like, I think it was like no story should be this happens and then this happens, this happens and then this happens. If it's just this and then this, then that's a boring story. It should be this happens, but then because of that, this is going to happen, and then that leads to this, which is because of this, but then this. So it shouldn't just be a series of and then that and then that and then that.
Yeah.
Everything in this movie is this is happening because of this, and then this is going to happen because of this, but then this happens, which is going to make this happen, and then that happens.
Which really helps the segment feeling of it, because it's just like A, B, C, but nothing feels like you're watching the same thing over. It just consistently surprises the viewer with what it's doing.
Yeah. I just remembered one scene that I was like, I think I noticed something. Do you remember the first time he's in Thailand and he rescues the princess and all that? There's the white dude who's like leading the expedition.
Yeah.
The white guy.
Yeah, who speaks in Cantonese.
Yeah, and like so they get captured, and they're both like wrapped around a pole, and he puts this like goo on the guy's face that like starts like kind of melting him, and then like turns his like insides into bugs, and like they like burst out of him. I'm very confident what I saw here was that after you start to see his face kind of melt, he becomes a Chinese man.
It's a frame by frame. Let's see.
It kind of just like you don't see it for very long. It kind of cuts back to him every now and again, but there's like a handful of shots where I was like, "That's a different guy. That's a man of a different ethnicity."
They really need to get those close-ups.
Yeah, I mean it happens. There's a the fight scene with I mean it just any movie where a white person needs a stunt double in Hong Kong movies. The amount of times that Yuen Bu has doubled for Cynthia Rothrock in Righting Wrongs is crazy. But I remember like in the final fight of Dragons Forever, there's a scene where Jackie Chan kicks Benny the Jet Urquidez, a white man, and it goes full slow motion, so it's very easy to see it. Where you look at Benny the Jet and you're like, that's a Chinese guy. And you're showing me in slow motion, there's no way to hide it, that's a Chinese guy.
They're like, no one's going to know. No one's going to care. It's fine.
They thought no one would care, but we do. They thought no one would notice, but we did. Jumping into some final questions here for you. Do you have any takeaways from your journey of Kung Fu horror?
I think, and I've always felt this way ever since I started watching these like Kung Fu horror films. I think it is one of the most unique kind of subgenres of horror. I think that Hong Kong horror does things that no other country or any other kind of cinematic experience gives the viewer. The way that it just twists things around and just surprises you at every single angle makes every single journey into one of these films just an absolute blast from beginning to end. You never know what you're going to get. You never know where they're going to go. And it's just such a fun, wild time every single time.
Yeah. And you know what it honestly is? It's just culture. It is like, I haven't seen horror movies from a whole lot of different places. I think I'd like to try Thai horror because I've heard some Thai horror gets pretty weird.
There's some good ones. There's some really good.
But I've seen like French horror, of course. I've seen Korean horror is obviously a big one. Japanese horror, a lot of American horror in the early 2000s was influenced by Japanese horror. So like you go to a Korean horror and you find different things. You notice different things that we don't get in American horror. You go to Hong Kong horror, Chinese horror, and you see aspects of their culture that they view as demonic or spiritual that we don't have. Like let's say their view of vampires is different. What they have as vampires is different than what we have in the West. You know, it's their religion. It's how that can influence a horror movie. It's what they view as like the occult. So it's something that I think anybody can benefit from, just like watching not just a movie from another culture, but like if you're a horror movie, watch a Korean horror movie, watch a Thai horror movie, watch a Hong Kong horror movie. You're going to find new perspectives that you don't have as a Western audience.
I will say I have come to realization that I love Asian horror more than any other kind of horror film. They are just my favorite ones to seek out, whether it be Japanese, but especially Hong Kong horror to me has been the most impressive. I've shown more people clips from Hong Kong horror than anything else. Just being like, I'll be at work and I'll be like, hey, yo, you need to see this scene. And my coworker will be like, this is insane. I was like, it's so much fun. I have more fun with like Asian horror films than American or any other kind of countries. I just think they're so unique.
Have you seen the Japanese zombie movie I'm a Hero?
No, that's on my watch list. I have Raggle Fraggle.
Okay.
He recommended it to me, and I was like, I need to watch it. Like, I'm
Yeah, check that one out. I watched it because a podcast called Food for Thought every year for Halloween would not talk about a kung fu movie and would do just like an Asian horror film. And they watched that one, and that is one that like that is the creepiest depiction of zombies I have ever seen. Like more than any like Romero stuff, more than Train to Busan, like the zombies in I Am a Hero are some of the creepiest zombies I've ever seen.
I really need to check it out. It's on the list. I was gonna do it for my 31 days in horror, and then I got the flu, and that kind of put like a whole damper in the plans. But definitely, I'm gonna try to watch it before the end of the month. I need to. It's just everyone has been saying how crazy it is, and I'm like, I need to experience this.
Yeah, and again, as somebody who doesn't do horror, it's just creative, and it did scare me, which I don't like being scared. So you've got a decent background in kung fu cinema. Do you have any future avenues that you plan to take into kung fu?
It's kind of something I want to do. I need to do a full thing through Bruce Lee's filmography because like he doesn't have a ton of movies in comparison to a lot of people, but I've
Only about 4 or 5,
and I've only seen like 2 of them.
Yeah, which ones?
I saw Enter the Dragon.
Okay.
I think that's the iconic one. I got to see that in theaters, so that was a pretty cool experience. And I need to see. I've seen so many movies; it's hard for me to like remember every single thing I've like title wise. But Bruce Lee's been one of those things where it's like he is so iconic, he is so beloved that it's like you should watch his movies because he doesn't have a ton of them. And
my weird thing with Enter the Dragon, and I know many old school kung fu heads will have always disagreed with me about this. I think that if you have only seen Enter the Dragon, then I don't really believe that you've truly seen a full authentic Bruce Lee film.
Well, I've seen Fist of Fury.
Okay, yeah.
The Big Boss.
Okay, so 3 in there.
The Way of the Dragon. So I've seen 4 of his films.
Then honestly, you've seen.
But those are all the ones from the Criterion set.
Yeah. So the Criterion set does have 2 more.
It's like Game of Death
in the set because it has Game of Death and it has Game of Death 2 in the special features. Which of course he was already dead before he could make Game of Death 2. So he died doing Game of Death, so he's only in the final 20 minutes. He filmed 20 minutes of fight scenes and then before he passed away. But I do think it's still very much worth watching. Game of Death 2 is worth watching because I think that is probably one of the best examples of Bruceploitation. Because they do the same tricks they do in the first one where they're using old footage of him. And for that first 30-ish minutes, I don't think the movie's very good because they're using old footage of Bruce and they're trying to make it look like Bruce Lee is in this movie. But then they do something that I do see as very gross. And that they kill his character, which is fine. The movie needed to kill his character. But then just like in the first movie, they use the real footage of his real funeral, which I don't like that at all.
Yeah,
I think that's disgusting.
Distasteful.
But after they kill off his character, they no longer have to worry about using old Bruce Lee footage, and they bring in, I think it's Kim Tai Chung. I could be wrong. I think it's Kim Tai Chung, who then plays like his brother. So you get some of the same mannerisms and stuff, but because we no longer have to worry about including the old Bruce Lee footage, we just get a Kim Tai-chung Bruceploitation film. And from that point on, the movie is very good.
Definitely, I need to watch those two movies. I'm really excited to, and I'll get to them eventually because they're in the Criterion stuff. But it's one of those things where it's like, I feel like I need to be in the right mindset before I sit down and get those.
I watched the first Game of Death quite young and not in the right mindset, and so the first time they start showing, because Bruce Lee's character gets like shot and he fakes his death. So because he fakes his death, they play the freaking funeral footage and they play his real funeral footage. And I thought even then, as like a 12 or 13-year-old, I thought, this is gross.
Yeah, it's not proper. That's like, see, that makes me a little, because I didn't know that. So I'm like, that's not. When I watch this movie, I'm gonna be very like,
Yeah, and then from then on, they continue to just use like old Bruce Lee footage to like paired with the stand-in footage, and it's definitely an experience. It's an experiment. I think it's a failed experiment. But then you get that final 20 minutes of Bruce Lee that he filmed, and you're like, oh, this is gold.
I see your Ip Man set back there, and I'm like, I need to watch those too. I need to
watch them.
I've never seen them. I've never. Like,
well, that's the first one there, but I do have all 4 films. They're supposed to be making a 5th. I don't know why.
I thought people really liked the way the last one ended. I think it was a good bookend.
Yes, it was a great end. It was a great ending. It was a perfectly sensible ending. And for some reason, they're still like, we're making Ip Man 5, and everyone's like, why?
So kind of like what they're doing John Wick.
Kinda. It pretty much exactly like they're doing with John Wick. Exactly what they're doing with John Wick. And I like John Wick a lot. I love John Wick. So I kind of want to see a 5th one, but I don't want to see a 5th Ip Man.
It's like, I'm not mad about it. Like, I'll take content, but like, it feels a little unnecessary.
Yeah, and I think I might be a little bit mad with the Ip Man one, because it's just like, what are you gonna do? Like, just, I'm sure you have an idea of how it would end, but it's like, how do you continue that story, that franchise, that life? That's just like, what are you gonna do with that? Yeah, watch all the Ip Man films. I think all 4 of them are good to great. Do you have any questions going forward into a kung fu journey?
No, not really. Just, experience the films, enjoy what you see.
Watch films, experience them, enjoy them.
Experience them. You go into things you don't really expect to like. You probably end up loving it.
Right. That's what I tell everybody. My final question here for you. Did you have fun?
I had an absolute blast. This was such a great experience. I'm so happy I jumped on this. Was a little nervous coming into this. I haven't been on a podcast for a minute, so I was like, okay, Bryce, just gotta do it. But this was a great experience, a ton of fun, great talking to you. Just the movies
watch
are
some
so
fun,
much fun.
campy movies.
I love them. I was showing so many of my coworkers clips from the Ricky movies because I have a coworker who's really into the Terrifier stuff. So I was just like, dude, look at this. Like, he was like, oh, I was like, yeah, this is crazy. This is the first 10 minutes.
I don't think my coworkers would respond well to me showing them clips from the Ricky movie. I don't think that would go over well. Well, Bryce, let the people know where people can find you.
So you can find me on TikTok at Cine Atlas Films. I cover a lot of international films and I'm trying to get into newer stuff because I need to do that. But a lot of international films, a lot of Oscar news. And then, I don't know what that was. And then you can find me on YouTube as Cine Atlas as well as Instagram. Just all over the place, but mainly TikTok.
Yeah. Well, go follow him on TikTok. He's on there. He's probably one of the early people I followed when jumping into the film talk community, which I think was helped a lot by the weekly Monday movie challenge thing we were doing. People should reignite that. That was a fun thing to do.
It was fun. People fell off. It's okay.
Yeah. I had this really weird feeling. I'm just like, when I said your name and said, Bryce, tell people where people can find you, I had this weird feeling that when I did the introduction, I didn't say, Bryce, I welcome you to Kung Fu. I was like, what name did I say? Did I say Bryce? I don't remember.
I think you did.
I think I did. My brain's just freaking with me. So yes, give him a follow. I will leave every link that he has down below in the description. Don't forget to follow me at Martial Arts Film Freak on Facebook, Martial Arts Film Freak on Instagram, Martial Arts Film Freak on TikTok, and of course, like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already. Of course, if this is your first time watching, if you're just jumping into this video because you like horror movies, or you can because you know this guy from TikTok and you wanted to see him talk Kung Fu, well, I welcome you to Kung Fu.